Hi guys, my name's Caleb and this is the Disney Channel. This is the Disney Channel. We've got Victoria Justice, iCarly, all the other ones that were around when I was young. Would you consider yourself a paranoid person? Maybe you're worried about corporate America spying on you and acting as a lobbyist to sway your government to be able to spy on you more and extract more out of you, more stuff, more money.
Revenue of $23.16 billion.
That's a lot of money.
It's also
that's a whole lot of money. I wish I had that much money.
Since May 2023.
I love that money. Are you worried about corporations growing even larger and more evil, potentially? Maybe if that's possible. If you are, then you better loosen your tinfoil hat, buddy, because that shit's not real and you're a crazy person.
Become aware of everything. And then I want you to become aware that you are aware of all of these things.
And this is the end of the video. Thank you, Gump Club members. Thank you so much. Whoa! Just kidding. Some of the largest corporations in the United States of America are incredibly evil.
Family, religion, friendship. These are the three demons you must slay if you wish to succeed in business.
And have horrible tech weapons spanning their entire existence. One of these corporations is Disney, and if you've paid any attention to the news in recent years, you would know that this corporation is, it's basically, outside of making like The Mandalorian and some cool shit, corporately, it's very evil, it's bad, it's not a real thing to love anymore. It's not, I guess it never was, to be honest, but it's bad. Disney sucks.
We don't need Disney Plus, Scott. We've got cable, and that's enough.
They've been accused of a bunch of shit like racism, sexism, plagiarism, and erroneous lawsuits to keep people quiet and protect their IPs. Haha, public domain, haha. Mouse, we got the mouse, public domain, haha, haha. We got the mouse, public domain. And they're allowed to keep up this behavior because they pay a lot of people a lot of money, and there's loyalists, Disney. We talk about Disney adults a lot, those type of people.
Disney adults are horrifying, horrifying creatures. I didn't even think I was gonna talk about Disney adults, right? Everybody kind of knows it's in the ethos, it's in the galaxy, it's in the air. People, if you're over like 30 years old, I don't know, dare I even say 25, and you are like religiously, you're like a big Disney fan and you like going to Disney World and that's your favorite thing ever, it's creepy, okay?
Here's some Disney adults in government, lobbyists. Look, that's Mitch McConnell. He's a Disney adult. That's crazy. I bet he loves Disney. He probably loves Spider-Man and Han Solo and yeah. Like my hand's swollen because I got stinged by a hornet on my hand. Oh, help! Help me, Walt Disney! Just kidding, he's an anti-Semite. Just kidding, it seems like he may not be an anti-Semite. I don't really know. Today we're going down the Disney rabbit hole a little bit, and specifically I wanted to make this video due to some stuff that's been in the news recently, and we'll be talking about that, shedding a bit of a light on it because it is absolutely absurd and should not be a thing. This happened very recently, and this was the reason I wanted to cover this in a video because everybody knows Disney's bad, all the big giant corporations are evil, etc., etc., etc. But like Disney's different because they are the gatekeepers of the stories that a lot of people grew up with. They're the gatekeepers of like a certain level of magic, a certain level of innocence and charm and things that are good that you wouldn't know are associated with something that's so bad. And I think this gives the perfect example of what Disney is as an entity as a whole. Now, it's really important to note that this part of the video was recorded mere hours before this was released. I think the point still remains true, and if people wouldn't have gotten so mad, I don't think that they would have changed that because their lawyers still have to withdraw the petition in court to make it not go to that still was their original defense. So it's like, I don't know. So you have to bear with us. It's outdated information. They're no longer doing this. This is very important, but this was still their stance, and it is bizarre and surreal, and the reason that I made this video. Their initial response to this being that was the reason that I was like, oh, wow, maybe we should do a fucking Disney video. Whoa, these people are crazy. This is quite a rabbit hole. This is irrevocable. This is not something that I can... like it's
I don't even really know how to say it. I have no words. Anyways, we'll get to the story. Disney has been under some significant scrutiny recently surrounding a death inside their park. On October 5th, 2023, a doctor at the NYU Langone Hospital in Manhattan died after eating at the Raglan Road Irish Pub in Disney Springs, which is a Disney World Resort shopping mall. That Thursday, Dr. Tung Swan ordered some broccoli, corn fritters, scallops, and onion rings, and when she made the order, she repeatedly told the staff to check to ensure the food had no nuts or milk because she had allergies. After her and her husband left the restaurant, they continued to shop, but she began to feel very ill, and eventually her symptoms escalated and she went into anaphylaxis. Her husband was able to administer an EpiPen, but she would later die at a local hospital. And there was obviously gross negligence by the waitstaff there. She asked multiple times. There are accidents, obviously, but like this is just something she made very clear, and it's Disney's response to this. Her death as a result of this gross negligence is mind-boggling. You'd think that after such a tragic event would occur inside their own park, Disney would do anything to make the situation right, especially since Disney publicly advertises this dedication to food safety for its guests. Like that's one of their main sort of things because it is incredibly important. But you know, that's not true. Unsurprisingly, Disney is fighting the husband in court, and Tung Swan's husband, Jeffrey, sued the Walt Disney Company for $50,000 of damages shortly after the wrongful death of his wife. However, Disney's lawyers have recently come out and said that the case should be dismissed and resolved by individual arbitration because Jeffrey signed up for a free Disney Plus trial years ago. And you might be wondering, how the f is that possible? Why is that even relevant? In the terms of service for Disney Plus, it is stated that any dispute between you and us, the Disney Corporation, except for small claims, is subject to a class action waiver and must be resolved by individual binding arbitration. Arbitration court is a nightmare, and this is so evil. But of course, since he agreed to the terms and services of the platform, he also agreed to that stipulation, which Disney's lawyers argues makes the case invalid. The wrongful death of his wife is invalidated because he signed up for a free Disney Plus trial years ago. Also, the same terms of service are agreed upon when you buy a ticket to the park, but specifically the Disney Plus arbitration is what's at call here. And unfortunately, since the couple arrived at the park on the day of Tung Swan's death, they agreed to those terms that day, making it more likely that the case would even be thrown out then. So it's like, I don't know, dude. Why not just try to make it right instead of being like, well, you agreed to the terms of service. We can't afford this. We're trying to preserve the magic of our anti-Semitic king, Walt. His head's frozen, it's in the back. Disney's lawyers also repeatedly stated that the restaurant from which she ate is not owned by Disney, and therefore this lawsuit shouldn't be directed at them, even though it occurred inside of their own park. Disney's straight up telling this man in 2024, his wife's death is not their fault because he signed up for a free trial of Disney Plus. And what makes this even worse is Jeffrey said that he signed up for his free trial on his PlayStation and then canceled it soon after. Jeffrey's lawyers argue that there is nowhere in the terms of service that states that Disney could dismiss the death of his wife and that the claims made by Disney are absurd, because they are. And it will be interesting to me to see how this plays out, and to all of us. It's crazy, mind-boggling. How is this a thing? There's a very obvious right way to handle the situation. It's not by saying, well, years ago, actually, you signed up to Disney Plus, so, take the L, bozo. I just can't even imagine. Like, that is evil. I'm signed up for Disney Plus. I undid my subscription as soon as I found this out. I'm not one for like boycotts and stuff, really. I don't really care that much about stuff. This is just insane. This is the worst company that exists. This is crazy. There's a lot more context, though, that we should get into to kind of go down the Disney rabbit hole. That's obviously a very new story that just happened, and things like that have happened in the past. I'll get into that. There's one story about a little boy. Crazy. It's unbelievable that this company has done all these things. We've learned a lot since researching it. But if we're going to properly encapsulate the level of evil that Disney has done, we need to start with what made them famous in the first place: their awesome movies. Disney has produced animation since the late 1920s, with their first project being Steamboat Willie. Ever heard of it? Public domain. Haha, there he is. There's the mouse. Look, I own him. He's mine. It's got my name on it. Look, that's my signature on that. Isn't that awesome? I own it. Shut up, Frankie. It was released in 1928. It's old as It's a terrible animation. It's innocent, very poorly made. Just kidding. They made this shit in 1928, that's impressive. They weren't doing a lot in 1928, I've got to say. Really, they weren't doing much. This animation, pretty innocent. Things would go downhill quickly from here. One of Disney's first and most popular animated films, Fantasia, contained imagery of a black centaurette named Otica serving a white centaurette. If you couldn't tell what makes this bad, it is how each character in the show is depicted. If you would like me to really spell it out for you. One of the very first scenes where both characters are, Otica is polishing Sunflower's hooves, and the characters' designs are very racist, based on old minstrel shows. For those of you who do not know, minstrel shows were incredibly popular attractions in the 1800s, back when people were incredibly racist. They were very popular. It's wild. Black people were often portrayed as idiotic, scary, infantile. It's terrible. It's horrible. Eventually, the characters from the minstrel shows would be turned into racist stereotypes after slavery was abolished and used during the Jim Crow era, which was named after a popular minstrel show character.
Under the Separate but Equal Clause, the U.S. Supreme Court legitimizes segregation and social discrimination, treating black people as second-class citizens. Known collectively as Jim Crow laws, after a racial depiction performed in blackface. These laws reinforce racial prejudice and deny rights to black people in the United States.
So yeah, I'm just laying this out because it gives us context as to, where Disney's really coming from here. So yeah, back to Fantasia. Otica is depicted in an incredibly disrespectful manner. Sure, you can say, it was the times, everyone was racist. They were just doing what was cool, this was cool back then. Racism, woo! Or whatever but it's like, all right, well, that same company exists now, and yeah. And they're still kind of like up to no good. The pendulum has swung so far that they're still just evil. Fantasia came out in 1940 when Jim Crow was still very much around and prevalent in American culture, but Fantasia is not the only early film to have these racist depictions and more. Starting with Dumbo, which was released in 1941. In the film, there is a murder of crows that Dumbo meets and teaches him how to appreciate his ears.
What's all the ruckus? Come on, step aside, brother.
Now, while the message is positive, the designs of the crows aren't. They designed the crows off of minstrel show characters. I saw this movie as a kid. I didn't know what the was going on. I have no idea. Looking back at this as an adult now, I'm like, wow, that's insane. One of them's named Jim Crow. Okay. So yeah, positive message, but veiled race, not even really veiled. The main crow's named Jim Crow. They didn't even thinly veil it. And it's just like right there. And then I guess nobody knew, or I don't really know. I didn't know as a kid. I was like, wow, that guy's name's Jim Crow. That's a cool name. That's a funny name. And then I went to school because I was no longer 5 years old. By the way, they omitted the crows in their 2019 remake of Dumbo. Good job, Disney. Very, very, very good. Very, very, very good. So you've got racism against black people. How about racism against Native Americans in Peter Pan, guys, which came out in 1953. In the film, the natives had deep red-colored skin. They spoke broken English and had stereotypical headdresses and clothing. You got Aristocats, came out in 1970, had a very stereotypical depiction of an Asian cat with small eyes, chopsticks, and broken English, looking like Mickey Rooney. Mickey Rooney, by the way, was known for his racist impression of Asian people. So yeah, these are very overtly racist and stereotypical depictions of pretty much everybody who's not a white guy, all right? And I know a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, don't be so soft, they're old cartoons, who cares? Yes, I realize, but you gotta practice what you preach. And Disney, once again, the pendulum has swung so far the other way. If they were just like, we apologize, that's not us anymore, we're kind of like best step forward. No, they're like evil now. They're still evil. They're evil then, and now they're just evil now in a different way. So them. So them. Them. They can suck it. They can suck it. What makes this way worse is that they have the same exact excuse as those people, you guys, those people out there who their retort is like, it's just the times, right? They had a warning label on all the movies we listed stating, this program is presented as originally created. But the warning previously said, it may contain outdated cultural depictions. But then they changed it to, these stereotypes were wrong then and are wrong now. Rather than remove this content, we want to acknowledge its harmful impact, learn from it, and spark conversations to create a more inclusive future together. Disney is committed to creating stories with inspirational and aspirational themes that reflect the rich diversity of the human experience around the globe. By the way, we still want to make as much money as humanly possible. We do not care about our past transgressions. We do not give a singular We are evil. It's okay, guys, because Disney even has a website now dedicated to inclusivity and improving the world. Bringing us to our next point. Animal cruelty. Not only are they cruel to human beings, which is a lot more important than animals, just saying, they're also cruel to animals. In 1974, Disney opened Treasure Island, which was a new attraction where guests could pay to see and walk around exotic animals and birds. And the park was a major success and was open until 1999 when it closed and all the animals were killed. Just kidding, they were moved to Disney's Animal Kingdom and then killed. Just kidding again. The island would see controversy a few years before its closure. The animals were fine. They were moved to Disney's. Well, maybe they were fine. They're exotic animals trapped in cages. Okay, that's not that cool. On January 6th, not that one, different insurrection, 1990, Disney settled a claim of animal cruelty by paying $95,000. Apparently, wild vultures were a huge problem for the island and island staff. They would repeatedly attack small birds, poop on the boardwalks, and were extremely loud around guests. They sounded like this. Ah! Just kidding. I don't know what vultures sound like, to be honest. You may say, well, maybe they'll get a cat or something to get the vultures out of there, or maybe some bird spray, or like, I don't know, some shit like that. No. To combat it, the Disney workers would beat the vultures to death, purposely destroy their eggs and nests, and lock them in a shed with no food or water. Things got so out of hand that they even shot at random hawks and falcons. That's crazy. They faced 15 charges against 5 separate employees, but prosecutors let the corporation off easy as long as it agreed to no new violations for at least 1 year. So anyways, yeah, very, great stuff. That's awesome. And in spite of getting off the hook legally, Disney had to pay $75,000 to the Florida Game and Freshwater Fish Commission, $10,000 to the Florida Audubon Society and in Maitland, and another $10,000 to the federal government. So they got a few fines. Not even that crazy of fines. You should have fined them more. How much were they worth in 1990? Let's see. Disney net worth 1990. Phew, they made $800 million in 1990. Yeah, f them. They can suck my dick. Also, all this stuff is crazy because, you know, they're beating animals in the 90s and there's all these insanely racist depictions. But hunters, in 1942 when Bambi came out, they made hunters out to be the bad guys in Bambi. What the f? Which I guess they are, if you think about it, in the context of Bambi. But it's like, animals can't talk though. That's the thing, you know. Animals can't talk, and, you know, the other stereotypes aren't true either. Animals they can't talk. It's just a bunch of horse shit. Disney's a bunch of horse shit. I've proudly not watched Disney movies in my life. My mom used to try to get me to watch Lady and the Tramp. I think that's the one with the dogs, maybe. I remember that one. I've seen Dumbo only once or twice. My sister used to watch The Lion King all the time. I never watched it. Yeah, I just couldn't. I didn't like how they weren't real. I like to watch Marty Stauffer's Wild World. I thought that animations and cartoons when I was a kid were just like, I couldn't watch them. I don't know what's wrong. I know what's wrong with me. Never mind. I know what's wrong with me. Yeah. Pretty funny though. I said no to racism and evil when I was a kid. So yeah, anyways, guys, Disney also doesn't seem to respect human rights pretty much at all. They treat their employees like shit, which is common among corporations. They demand insane expectations. They even recorded a movie in China and praised the communist Chinese government, which is insane. Yeah, the Mulan movie in 2020, they thank the communist Chinese government, and also spots that were used to film in the movie are now used as concentration camps for Uyghurs. Pretty awesome stuff, Disney. Good job. At the end of Mulan, they thank some of the government entities in the far western region of China, Xinjiang, or however the fuck you say it. I'm not really sure. And there are 12 million Uyghurs in, look that up. Do some research on that. The Chinese communist, very bad. Very bad. So that's pretty bad. There also have been numerous reports from Disney employees stating how horrible the working conditions are at the parks.
Some 14,000 union workers will vote next week on whether or not to authorize a strike. If approved, the 4 unions representing workers at Disneyland, Disney California Adventure, Downtown Disney, and the Disney hotels would have the power to organize a walkout if necessary. Union officials said their contract for the Anaheim theme park expired June 16th for some employees and September 30th for others.
Most Most complain about the low wages, but others complain about treatment of staff, not only by management, but also customers from within the park. What's pretty crazy too is that Disney CEO Robert Iger made $30 million in a year, which is so much money, and not everybody in their company makes like a $15 an hour wage, which I get it, small businesses, it's not always possible to pay people as much as you'd like to pay them. But Disney, that's like, I'm very pro-capitalism, but like, come on, are you just evil? Is that what you're doing? Are you just an evil person? Take like some of that $30 million and just like give bonuses out. Doesn't that make you feel good? Wouldn't that feel good to give people really good bonuses? Be like, hey, let's cut my salary in half so I'm only making $15 million a year, and let's give that other $15 million to like new employees or something. I don't know. It's not that hard to think. I would love, that would be awesome. So yeah, that's bad, but it also makes sense. Disney's no stranger to extortion. In China, back to China, because they are such great friends with China, factory workers as young as 14 were averaging 120 hours of overtime a month making Disney toys. And in classic China style within the factories, the conditions were so bad, workers were getting sick from glues being used, and some even took their own lives. Truly abysmal, but that is the reality in China. So as much as you hate America, there are bigger fish to fry, guys. Seems like there's a lot of big fish to fry. How much influence Disney directly has over these working conditions, I don't know, but they're great friends with China, so they can probably do whatever they want.
China.
Once again, the film crews on the live action version of Mulan were allowed to film on the original Silk Road, and they were also in a region where the Chinese have Uyghur concentration camps, and then they praised the Chinese government at the end of the movie. So, you know, this is Disney so far. There's still a lot more. We haven't even talked about the new thing. Disney's lame-ass excuse for supporting China was that they hired an independent Chinese film company to help map out the film locations, and that it was them who thanked the PRC, not Disney. So yeah, Disney, a really awesome company with a lot of really awesome, not hypocritical policies and beliefs, and at this point, they don't even try to hide anything. Like it's just like, what? What are y'all doing? This is crazy. Are you for real? Let's talk a little bit about Disney parks, okay? Because if you thought what was happening corporately and internally was bad, Disney parks are an absolute cash cow, and they're still part of the Disney Corporation. They absolutely drain people's bank accounts with prices of merchandise, tickets, and even houses. Disney does whatever they possibly can to get adults, rich, poor, doesn't matter, to be as unhealthily obsessed with their brand as they can.
Meeting the characters can be looked at as one of two things: super awesome or super awesome. For me today, it's super awesome. I'm starting to feel like Chip and Dale with this coffee going in my system.
The Disney adults thing, the Disney parks thing, the whole thing of Disney is crazy because they make money by portraying this like childlike innocence and this sense of wonder and whimsy, and then they make this media and it's like, oh, it's for kids and it's all this stuff, and then it's just bad. It's just not. It's like some kind of insane, hypocritical. How is this possible? How is Disney, the people who made this?
My name's Mater. Mater? Yeah, like Mater, but without the tuh.
How are they also doing this? Wait till you guys find out what I'm doing behind the scenes. So yeah, we're gonna take a little bit of time to talk about Disney adults. We'll get back to Disney in a second. Let me preface this by saying that there's nothing wrong with enjoying something so much that you make it your entire personality. That is completely fine. But if you're so obsessed with it that it's the only part of your personality and it becomes an unhealthy obsession to where it's draining your bank account, etc., and you think it's making you happy, you just have another form of addiction. You're an alcoholic, but instead of drinking Pabst, you're slurping the mouse. Disney adults fall into that category. They're a childlike fascination for the movies that they grew up on, the media that they grew up on. They're never able to move on, and Disney extrapolates that and turns it into a massive billion-dollar industry. Disney does whatever they can to reasonably and evilly scratch the backs of Disney adults, because adults have a lot more money than children do. Did you know that? The mouse celebrates this fact. There is so much merchandise to sell for Disney. They have an unbelievable amount of IPs. Star Wars even, which they've ruined. All the new Star Wars movies suck. I don't care what the you say. Marvel, All the new Marvel shit sucks, except for the Deadpool Wolverine one. I think that one's pretty good, but like Endgame and stuff, I mean, after that, first Endgame was pretty good, and it's just like, what are you doing? This is lame. This is just becoming the same thing. I've grown so numb. Disney adults don't grow numb, though. They love it. They eat it. They love merchandise. They love spending money on it. It's awesome. I mean, these people collect so much just stuff. It's just shit. Shit everywhere. I love shit. I got some shit, but at the same time, if everything got burnt down in my life, which it won't, insurance company, I promise there will not be a catastrophic fire over the next 3.5 weeks. I promise. It's just so useless, dude. It's just useless, dudes. Put your time into something else, like playing The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, or building a loving relationship with your wife or child, or I don't know, taking a long walk off a short pier. We're going to sour.gg and buying some candy. Get your gummies today. I'm basically Mickey Mouse, and yes, I know I have a puka shell necklace. I went to hang out with my girlfriend for a moment. Anyways, sorry. I just hate Disney now, okay? Because of the shit that just happened with the whole arbitration thing. I do not like Disney at all. I'm the opposite of a fan. I'm a Disney hater at this point. They already ruined Star Wars, and now it's just terrible in the show. It's just horrible. I hate it. My hand's really swollen. I think I'm dying. And Disney's making it worse. Disney adults, though, man, they'll buy everything in one of the stores to ensure that they can represent their favorite movie or characters. It's not, people shit on YouTuber merch or like content creators, influencers, stuff like this, but at least those are like people, those are just real people. This is Disney. You're heavily supporting something that's just not even that good of a story, for one. It's just not that good. It's overrated. It's cringe. They're evil as well. You are contributing to Satan, I think. I'm not sure if Satan's real. And also, going to Disney store, their website, gives me a migraine. Look at this. The price of some of this shit is insane. And it's maliciously targeting people. There's no way it costs them that much money to make this shit. Shit. Why would you buy that when you could buy a bag of Sour Boys for $5.99? $5.99. Free ship, get free shipping, over a certain amount, a certain order amount. Or sign up to the Gump Club to see uncensored videos, get your first month free, cancel before the end of the month, and then get free shipping and coupon codes for Sour Boys for $20, $25, whatever it is, for free shipping. That's a good deal. That's value. I shouldn't be promoting my stuff in a Disney video. I apologize, but I do have employees and I would like to pay them what they deserve to be paid. So, to be honest, everyone gets a raise. Not you, editors. You guys. And also, block all the employees from watching my videos. The mouse is smart. Disney the mouse, that guy, Mr. Disney or whatever his name is smart. Raise the prices of any item you think someone would buy to the maximum amount you can sell it for, where people will still buy it. Raise it to the absolute maximum amount. Do not take into consideration how much it costs to make it. Don't take that into consideration. What the cost of goods sold, do not take that into consideration. You need to just try to make as much money as possible for no reason other than just improving margins. That's it. All right, it's genius. A $40 pillow with Mickey Mouse on it. Are you sucking me right now? Are you sucking me right now? Another thing that's insane is this thing called Disney bounding, which essentially is dressing like your favorite character without actually dressing like your favorite character in a full cosplay costume, because they're banned. You're not allowed to wear costumes unless you're under 14 years old to Disney, because small children will confuse the cast members and the Disney adults. There's a whole Reddit to this thing called r/DisneyBound. It's pretty awesome. They share different ways to dress up like their favorite characters without actually getting banned from the park. And yeah, that rule change banning the costumes was back in 2023 of March, I think. I'm not sure. I just make shit up sometimes. The ban has led to people having to dress up similarly to the characters, but not actually be dressed in costume to just get by barely. And I will admit, some of these are good. Some of these are fine, but it becomes a problem. It is very strange. I'm not a Disney adult though. I don't give a fuck. And honestly, I don't want to have anything to do with Disney after all this. The whole point I wanted to do to make this video is because we shit on Disney adults a lot. Commentary YouTubers shit on Disney adults a lot, and there's a lot of videos about Disney in general, like the whole rabbit hole. Oh, Walt Disney's evil. His heart's frozen in a tomb in Florida or some shit. That's just, you can't do this and be worth me or anyone I love sending you money. You can't do this. This is not something you can do. You are absolutely evil if you do this. You are evil. That's why I wanted to make this video. So tell 5 million people that you suck. Unbelievable. I cannot believe this. I'm sorry I'm wearing this stupid thing. I thought it'd be funny. It's not. This is not a funny thing. This is a bad company. Robert Iger can suck my dick. Just kidding. But people fall for it though, dude. They fall for it and they still love Disney because they grew up with it. And every step of the way, they're paying the mouse. They got the cosplay, they're buying merchandise. For a family of 4 to go to Disney from an outside state that doesn't have it, they're spending thousands of dollars on travel, lodging, plane tickets, hotels, and then also the tickets per day at the parks, eating at the expensive, stupid restaurants, drinking the blue milk, and there's extremely rich people who live at Disney full time. Their life revolves around the Disney lifestyle. It's insane. The Golden Oak neighborhood is for all your Disney wants. Do you want to be a smooth brain troglodyte? Do you want special perks like the VIP tickets at Disney? You want to live within a small shuttle away from the park so you can just walk or ride? All this for the low price of millions of dollars. The cheapest option was for $5.2 million and the most expensive was for 10 million, upper tens. That is so ridiculous. But if that's not enough, guys, for you, you can live in Celebration, little place in Florida. In 1996, the year I was born, Disney planted, by the way, August 29th, 1996, birthday, write it down. I need to be celebrated. I'm incredibly insecure. Disney planned a town, a community full of homes, government, more. That's a really good idea. I love the idea of having a corporation owning a town. The company no longer owns that, but they still own a ton of assets there. It was quite literally a Disney town, and people moved in droves, of course, because they're stupid. It even feels Disney-esque, but nothing compares to what Disney had done before. Not only do they have their own town, but they even tried to become their own country. Did you know Disney tried to become their own country? That's insane as well. Not country, county. Country soon, though. Give it 30 years, and it'll be a country soon. They'll go for that once their GDP is that of a small country. There's 195 countries, and I guarantee you Disney's GDP is bigger than a lot of them, like probably 10%. I don't really know, though. I'm stupid, so. There is a law on their side, House Bill number 486, AKA the Reedy Creek Improvement Act. It was passed in 1967, and it allowed the area surrounding Walt Disney World to be its own county.
On May 12, 1967, Republican Governor Claude R. Kirk Jr. signed the Reedy Creek Improvement Act, establishing the city of Bay Lake and the city of Lake Buena Vista. And this special district has meant that for over 50 years, Disney has been responsible for funding and operating all of the essential public services on their 25,000 acres of property.
So this allowed the area around Disney World to be its own county. It gave it the same rights as a county government. And Walt Disney's original plan was Epcot, or Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow, which was to create a city. And even after his death, the company focused on the commercial interests instead of housing, though. I'm sure they'll go back to it. You know, Walt Disney, he's dead. Walt Disney was like this cult guy. He wanted to have his own shit and stuff. But now they definitely have the money and they definitely have the power. They probably just don't have the leader. You know, Robert Iger is lame. He's not a good leader. Yeah, Robert Iger, $31 million received in 2023. That's 595 times more money than the average Disney employee. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And I guess he did found it, so it makes... Oh, wait, no, he didn't found it. He's a CEO. Oh, he has a net worth higher than the Disney heiress? Strange. That's weird. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Anyways, Disney's reasoning for all this government shit is obviously tax loopholes. Anyone's reasoning for anything, pretty much. And it all sounds really fun. I love it. The original idea for the act thing in 1967 was because they paid the majority of the taxes to Reedy Creek, but you know, because they're a huge entity, and then they became their own thing, and then the money would go right back to Disney. So it was like a weird cycle of putting money in and taking money out, and they're like a rodent. It's a rodent. Disney's run by a human mouse, I think.
You think God is in control here? I am in control. I've been in control since the 50s, in case you haven't noticed.
Literally suckling as much money in as possible and running the show like they own that area of Florida. And the government wasn't happy after a while, and it was repealed in 2023, 2022, some shit like that. I don't know. But I'm glad it was repealed. They should start a religion next, like that one guy, the Scientology guy. What's his name? L. Ron Hubbard. R.L. Stein? L. Ron Hubbard? I want to do a Scientology video. I think that'd be really cool. I want to get investigated by them. I want them to investigate me and trying to ruin my life. I'll ruin their lives. I love doing that. Just kidding, I don't do that. Doing all the research for this video, we've learned that Disney is the most greedy thing to have ever existed in the world. And it's like not a guy anymore, which is good. But, you know, there's no level of morality weaved within whatever the Disney is. And, yeah, the cherry on top is the recent thing, of course. They also denied a kid a Spider-Man tombstone. So, you know, that's pretty insanely up as well. I don't know, dude. Whenever you think of Disney, whenever I would think of Disney, I would probably imagine, you know, as a kid, just these characters. My sister loved it. Heartwarming tales, shaped a bunch of childhoods, etc., etc. But no, beneath that is just rotten, pure evil shit. It's just hot shit inside of it. Diarrhea. It's full of just diarrhea. You know, I just can't even believe it. Some of the stories we've learned, dude, I mentioned the gravestone, them denying a child the Spider-Man gravestone. In December 2019, a 4-year-old boy named Ollie Jones from Maidstone, Kent, passed away after a battle with a rare genetic disease. Like many kids his age, Ollie was a massive Spider-Man fan. He had the toys, watched the movies, and dreamed of the day he could swing from skyscrapers like his favorite superhero, Tobey Maguire. Keep that love alive, his father, Lloyd Jones, wanted to put an image of Spider-Man on Ollie's gravestone, which would be a touching tribute. No, Disney didn't like that. When Lloyd approached Disney with his request, he thought it would just be a formality and there was no chance that they would turn down this last request from his son. The company flat out denied him. And the reason was they wanted to preserve Spider-Man's innocence and the magic of their characters. Right. Very magical. Very magical. I know magic. I've got a necklace. I feel like I should change my fit. Disney believes apparently that a superhero who routinely battles evil and witnesses death constantly, not just once, but repeatedly, has to be protected from the grim reality of death. What about the Spider-Verse movie? There's been so many. What? What are you talking about? Rules for thee and not for me, especially not when it involves a little boy's gravestone. They don't want to do that. Because we all know that nothing ruins the image and profitability of Spider-Man quite like being associated with a little boy whose dying wish and lifelong adoration was of Spider-Man and was to have him on his gravestone. The last trip the family ever took was to Disney so Ollie could meet his hero, Spider-Man, and now he was being denied the chance to memorialize his love for Spider-Man permanently. Disney did throw the grieving family a bone though. They offered him a single frame from a Spider-Man scene with a handwritten message to Ollie, which is just so nice. It's a slap in the face, is really what it is. We won't let you remember your son in the way you want, but here's a consolation prize. Enjoy! Who the f wrote the note, by the way? Who the f wrote the note? It's Robert Iger? Some faceless employee executive piece of shit? Probably. Here we have a multi-billion-dollar company that could have made a single exception that would not have cost them a dime, but instead they chose to dig their heels in and hide behind the excuse of preserving innocence, whatever the f that means. Who wrote that? Who wrote that sentence? You know, there's a team of just like people who craft the way that Disney, the words that they use. Like, well, I think preserving innocence is a better way to articulate this than by saying preserving copyright and profitability. I think that's a better way. We need to preserve the innocence of our magical character. What? Apparently, though, that was a policy that they referenced from Walt Disney himself, and he's been dead since 1966, so he's certainly not keeping it alive. Rest in piss, I guess. This story specifically says a lot about Disney as a whole in a vacuum without any of the other context. It paints a bleak picture in and of itself because, you know, there's a guy who, Robert Iger could just be like, yes, we need to allow that. Like, we have to do that. They make money off family values and creating magical experiences, and they also profit massively off the death of their characters. I mean, Mustafa's son or whatever in The Lion King, there's so much just, as part of life. That's the whole idea.
Dad, come on. You gotta get up.
And then no. But we can't actually do anything that affects our bottom line outside of that. So, you know, if we let Spider-Man go on that gravestone, we'd have to do it to a bunch of gravestones. And like, that wouldn't be cool. Now, tinfoil hat time. Walt Disney was an FBI spy. That is my theory. Perhaps all of Disney's evil seeds stem from the fact that Walt Disney was a spy for the FBI and he's doing the bidding of the evil federal government. That's potentially what's happening here. It was rotten from the start. Mr. Walt, he was certainly no saint. There are many claims about how bigoted and oppressive his worldviews were. People claim he was racist for reasons like those we listed in the Dumbo bit and Song of the South, coupled with Disney himself supposedly referring to the dwarves in Snow White as a N-word pile, which I don't know what the f that means. People claim that Walt was sexist. This is back in the times when people, pretty much every man with power was a giant asshole. It seemed like. I don't really know, but it seems like times were different back in these days, and Walt Disney was no exception to the general rule, it seems. A letter sent to Mary Ford, who had applied to Disney's training program, was denied because women do not do any of the creative work, according to Walt. People also claim he was an anti-Semite. There was a scene in Three Little Pigs where the wolf was portrayed as a Jewish peddler.
I'm the full brush man. I'm giving a free sample.
Walt Disney also invited the director, a Nazi director, Leni Riefenstahl, to tour his studios. And this was a month after Kristallnacht, which was a night in which 7,500 Jewish businesses had their windows smashed and their homes ransacked. Yeah, pretty bad. Pretty crazy stuff back in the old Nazi days. There are also claims that Walt Disney was a spy for the FBI, informing on potential communist activities in Hollywood, and this knowledge came out decades after his passing following the release of declassified FBI files. In the late 1940s and 1950s, during the height of the Red Scare, which we've talked about at length on this channel, Disney was deeply involved in anti-communist activities. He became, I mean, obviously, this guy loves having ultimate power over the people who work for him. What the fuck? He became an official special agent in charge contact for the FBI's Los Angeles office. And what was his role? His role was to gather information on potential subversives in Hollywood. That's right, people with freedom of thought. He also offered complete access to Disneyland's facilities for the FBI official matters, as well as recreational use by FBI staff. That's a crazy perk right there. As an informant, Disney provided the FBI with information about actors, directors, and screenwriters whom he suspected of having communist ties. He believed that communists were attempting to infiltrate Hollywood and use it as a tool to spread commie propaganda. Disney's involvement wasn't just a casual endeavor. He had regular meetings with J. Edgar Hoover, the director of the FBI, and other high-ranking FBI officials, during which he discussed the loyalty and political leanings of those within his industry. He was a spy in America. He was spying on America. That's crazy. Also, with that in mind, the hyper-awareness of propaganda in film and art, you cannot argue that the little stereotypes and racist shit and sexist shit that's been in the cartoons was anything but intentional. There's no message, as far as I'm aware, that has been conveyed by Disney that isn't deliberate and extremely well thought out. Looking back at those documents, the FBI documents, it could appear that Walt Disney tried to leverage his position for his own gain. On one particular occasion, Disney accused Herbert Sorrell, the head of the Conference of Studio Unions, of being a communist during a strike in which animators were striking the fact that previously animators had been fired over union activism, which is classic. He's like, this guy's a communist. Get him out of here. Disney claimed that communists were behind the labor movement and they should be smoked out so that true liberalism by Americans can go on without the taint of communism. Now, I totally get that, right? I love the idea of traditional liberalism, but I don't think that includes stomping on people's heads just because you have more money, really, right? Like, there's got to be a middle ground, right? There's got to be like a moral implication to making money. Isn't there? Is there? No, there's not. Yes, there is. I should stop making YouTube videos. In the same testimony where Disney named Mr. Sorrell a communist, claiming that Sorrell had funded a strike with communist funds, he claimed that another animator was also a communist for two reasons. One, being that he wasn't religious, and two, being that he'd studied art at the Moscow Art Theater. Communist! Disney's actions had a significant impact on the strike. By casting the union leaders in a suspicious light, he undermined their credibility and fostered a climate of fear and division within the ranks of the animators, leading to a bust of the Streikenheimer. Many workers, fearing the repercussions of being associated with communism, were reluctant to support the strike as it dragged on, and in exchange for his services, Disney received special treatment from the FBI. The Bureau offered him access to sensitive information and even assisted with specific Disney projects, which is mind-boggling. I love saying that, but it's true. One notable instance was the FBI's influence over Disney's 1954 television series, The Mickey Mouse Club, which was used to promote a pro-American anti-communist message to its young audience. Pieces of the proposed script portrayed FBI agents and law enforcement as very strong, able to fight without guns, and knowing jiu-jitsu, with lines like, "Never throw a haymaker at a G-man." Awesome, I love propaganda. This collaboration between Disney and the FBI wasn't just a temporary alliance, by the way. According to the declassified files, Disney's relationship with the Bureau lasted over 2 decades until he died in 1966 and his head was removed from his body and he was frozen. During this time, Disney remained a staunch ally of Hoover's anti-communist crusade, and he continued to use his influence and resources to support the agenda of the FBI at the time. Anyways, I don't like Disney, and that's pretty much the end of it. It proposes this wholesome image. It's beautiful. All these great stories, a lot of stuff that I grew up with. Star Wars, for example. I love Star Wars. Disney ruined Star Wars. Like, actually, they ruin stuff now. That's what they do. They can't even make art anymore. They can't make art. That's the beginning of the problems. They can't make art. They're also evil. Maybe that's why they can't make art. All they care about is money, which we live in a world which that's totally cool. You can be a good person and still just care incredibly about materialism and consumerism and money and profitability, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it's like, this is just such another level. Is there a single person that works at Disney that's just like, you know, we should probably not do that? Like all the people who are, you know, helping with the way that minorities and stuff are portrayed in current and new Disney projects. What do those people think about the wrongful death suit? What do those people think about that? Where are those people? Are their lawyers different from them? Are they trying to, you know, appeal morally and be virtuous in one way and then just like on the other way? It's very hypocritical and it just, I don't like it at all. And I don't think you should either. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Press the like button if you want to see more content like this. Go to Sourboy, sour.gg, buy some candy. It's always in stock. Well, at least it's not always in stock, but we have little guys that are always in stock. Our gummies, they're amazing. See you in the next video.